All right, now we're moving up to 1959 with the legendary Ray Charles. This tune's called What I Say. Been covered by many, many different people throughout the years, including Elvis covered it after this. This is a very fast tune. We call it faux Latin. Faux, F-A-U-X, is a French word meaning false. So it's not true Latin. Basically, at this particular time, American musicians were influenced by Latin music, but most Latin music really only had a conga player, timbale player, and a bongo player. So the rhythms that we play on the American drum set starting in the late 50s throughout the 60s were really rhythms that were played by usually three percussionists, three Latin guys with those instruments, and we're kind of playing key parts of those. Like the tom-tom would be like a conga part, you know, the bell of the ride would be like a timbale part, the side stick might be like a bongo thing. So these Latin rhythms are really our hybrid mix of what would really happen in a percussion section. And starting in 1959 with this tune, those kind of grooves were brought into American music. A lot of the New York songwriters at the time were very influenced by the stuff they were hearing coming from Latin America, and they decided to incorporate some of those rhythms into soul music. Because in the 60s, a lot of soul music had these Latin kind of rhythms, all the way up into the 70s, even like with the Jackson 5. But again, we're emulating on the drum set what was normally played by three separate people playing percussion, because they didn't use a traditional drum set in that kind of Latin music. So this particular tune is blazing fast. It's all on the bell. So this is very, very important to have the right. If you're using your sticks that are about this big around, it's going to be pretty hard to pull off this this tempo at 176 beats per minute and get that bell thing happening and that rim click on the 2 and 4 and your tom-tom thing. So you need a smoother, lighter stick with a nice, with a nice beat on it. It's going to get you that sound. And this was played by a drummer by the name of Milt Turner. This is one of those that'll give you tendinitis if you're not going to play it loose. You got to be real loose to pull that groove off, or you're going to have like tennis elbow like in a week. But many grooves. Ray Charles had another one, "Unchain My Heart," that also featured, like a rumba bolero kind of a thing. So he was into incorporating those Latin rhythms into blues, jazz, soul, which became kind of, his music was a template for all of those things. He was a real pioneer. But yeah, you gotta be real relaxed when you play that. You got to get to the side stick into that tom-tom very, very quickly. And then, bass drum wise, I kind of put the bass drum on the 1 just to emphasize, the downbeat of that groove, and then the hi-hat on the offbeats. Okay, so now we're going to talk about one of the other necessities to have as an R&B drummer, or as a good groove drummer, and that's something that people have ran out of today. It's called patience and self-control. These are skills you totally need to have, because like with a beat like What I Say, for instance, it's a very fast groove. It's hard to keep that groove up. You might be able to think you're doing pretty cool with playing it with your metronome for 2 bars or 4 bars or 8 bars and go, okay, great, I got that groove. Now try playing it with Ray Charles back in the day live, and the tune is 10 minutes long, and you're still going, and you got to keep that groove going. It takes a lot of control, a lot of patience. At this point, it becomes a total mental skill to keep it steady and going without varying it up all over the place, and it takes a lot of physicality to keep that going, the momentum going where you don't slow down. So this is where a good exercise would be, even if you can't play at this tempo, play it slower, but try to see if you can play that same groove for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, just like bodybuilding or working out with weights. You're not going to start off by bench pressing 400 pounds. You're going to start off at 50, and then you're going to get to 75, and then you're going to get to a certain place where you plateau for a while. And now your growth is going to be much smaller. It's the same thing with tempos. You might go, okay, well, I can do 100 beats per minute, and now I can do 125, and well, now I'm at 140, boy, but at 140 you kind of stop for a long time because it takes a lot longer to get to 160. And those incremental growths take a lot longer because you have to develop a lot more as a player until you can hang, just like you couldn't bench press that heavy amount. Now every pound extra is a lot of work. Just like runners trying to shave another second off the race. Every time you get down those finer increments, the growth, you got to work a lot harder for it. And tempos are exactly the same way as in fast Latin tunes or fast gospel tunes or fast shuffles. Getting those extra BPMs out of there is a real mother.
Well, tell me what I say.